Okay, I sit here before you. I had done a live Facebook video and it was guided. It sounds really strange to do both, to do a live video, but also to do it this way in a recording to share on YouTube. And the reason being is some of the things that have surfaced. As you can see, my face is turning red, and that's because spirit transcending through me. And you can see in the live Facebook video how spirit is doing things and really being balance of time. But the reason being is that those that are in situations where they as human beings become bandits. They want to rob people of their knowledge. They want to rob people of things because they themselves are creating, and they want to be seen as light. And don't get me wrong, we ignite within light within our hearts, and we are light. But when you're astral projecting, butterflying, affecting, you know, there's a whole bunch of ways to say it. And so I always say some are latching, attaching, tethering, doing all these things, astral playing, doing all these unethical things. And you don't know it while you're in on a course and you're being taught how to do this. You're not being taught really the ethics. At least I wasn't back in 2019. And I reflect back and I go, oh my gosh, if I wouldn't have opened those doors, I wouldn't know what I know now. And I wouldn't be part of knowing about spiritual warfare, not knowing about how people spy on other people, invade their sovereign space, their sovereign beings. They invade people in ways that are so beyond unethical. And they figure, well, if we can't beat them, let's join them. And we're talking about evil forces. Like, we're talking about demonic maras. We're talking about those people that have learned a lot and they want to control, not due to fear of their own experiences, but they want to control other human beings. They are inflicting their values, their morals, their belief onto others. And it's not of ambiance presence. It's not of equanimity. It's not in harmony unless you're part of their collective group. It's kind of like, somebody called it a cult. I said, okay, it's a clique, another Buddhist, when something came up with regards to that. It's like those that want you to believe you have a higher self. Well, that's your soul. Okay, some say, oh, there's a higher self than your soul. Well, some of us believe that are Buddhists believe that no, there's no higher self. When I listened to this Matrix CD of this doctor and he had talked about I've hired and fired my higher self, and I'm like, okay, well, that's guides. I've hired and fired guides before too. There's lower vibrational guides, there's higher vibrational guides. There are things where you just have to have faith that things unfold for your highest and greatest good. And those that are not trying to treat you unfairly because they know from the merit, from the karma, they know, the councils know they're orchestrating things in a different way. We're not talking about human beings orchestrating things. We are responsible for orchestrating our own lives through free will. You are not to orchestrate other people's lives and do these grids where you, don't get me wrong, your intentions can be pure and you're like, this is of love. Please send them protection. Please send them love. Please send them light. Please send them kindness. It's like a prayer. It's like a chant. That's different than somebody saying, you know what, this guy's fucking with me. He's going to pay for it. And then you do a grid that's not of love and kindness. It's to keep that person away from you. It's to do all this evil stuff. Leave that to a higher source. Some say God, some say universe, some say cosmos, matrix. Leave it to, and it's not even a collective power, okay? We're talking about those who have, not the earthbound spirits. We're going to leave it to those who have crossed over, that are on the other side. I call it the golden temples in heavens above, where you see the life review, you see you're part of creation now. You had your rest, but the creation is that you're helping guide others on their path. They still have free will because they're human beings. They're in this vessel. They have an ego. They have shadows. They have everything you can imagine moving forward. And so they respect what we're doing and surviving and living, persevering, finding harmony, finding peace, finding tranquility, finding what it is we need to bring forward. Sometimes this less is more thing can really unfold. And so there's some people that feel overwhelmed because they have all this stuff and it's never enough. And they just go, 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 go. And they don't care who they stumble over. They don't care who they betray. They don't care who. It's like they lose a part of themselves unconsciously. And so there are those that are the game players. I know myself. I've ended in a hospital. I was lost. I had attachments. They say I had a psychosis because of the medical marijuana I was on. I beg to differ. I see now that it was definitely attachments because I was doing a reading for someone very close to me. And they say you can't do readings to people that are close to you. I mean, I hadn't talked to them in a long time, and I shared things with them that validated what it was they needed to receive at that time. And then that person who had the brain injury said to me and said, oh, and there's a gift for you, and this is what it is, that you had 3 attachments. And I know there is humans that play trickery with spirit that will cause ill regard, ill intent due to their jealousy because they don't like, and then they use this powerful force. They misuse their gifts, their abilities. It's like, and I'll say it over and over again, it's like Atlantis time. And it's like people are standing their sovereign selves and they're saying no means no. There's starseed star people coming forward and saying enough is enough. No means no. Truth is prevailing. Beyond the truth is authentic self, the honesty within the self, and coming forward and saying no is no. And not stifling it in for 5 years and not saying anything because somebody tricksters you into coming forward with something because they already know and that you're not ready and they're not there to support you. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And even in psychology, because I've worked mental health for many years, you know, I know that you can't just go see someone, find out information, or have them, let's just say, open up to something and you've invaded their Aztec records, and then you leave them in shock or you leave them in a crisis situation, and you do not have the right or the ability or the know-how in supporting that person. And so there's organizations set up for a reason. So whenever anyone's in a crisis, for example, there's always supports in place so that they don't fall between the cracks and so that they are well looked after. And so when I reflect back to taking classes and situations, for example, when I was doing my shamanism, and this teacher, she had the audacity to invade my Aztec records. And who knows who else within that room, students, invaded my Aztec records. She has a collective, some say cliques, some say gangs, some say, you know, brigades, some say whatever. The point being is invaded me terribly, that I was shocked. It was something from my childhood that came forward, and I was disgusted. I was upset. I was angry, and I can tell from the look on her face, she invaded my space. She had no right. She was not able to deal with that. Instead, she ignored it. She totally ignored it. Instead of saying, you know, come get a picture. Instead of saying, are you okay? Because I evidently could see on her face she had a clear knowing. A clear knowing. She did not know how to support people. She, like others, are responsible. They do not know crisis intervention. They do not know how to prevent things of that sort to happen. So I know someone who has died by suicide in the last year, was nitpicked apart, had spirit and trickery, attachments, people invading her sovereign space, amongst other things, that because they were jealous of her and her abilities and her gift. So now she's on the other side, and guess what? She knows. She knows. Trust me when I say she knows the trickery and the things that are going on with you guys that put your prestige out there like you're all that and you're not. And so when you have people falling between the cracks and they die by suicide, I know I was taught in mental health, you do not at any costs ever take responsibility for somebody else's free will in dying by suicide. I beg to differ now. I've worked mental health for many, many years. I beg to differ. There are people that have doors of opportunity. Now, don't get me wrong. She'll get this message in one way or another, and she will know that she was accountable and had to be accountable because Spirit would have made her know so. But she didn't know what the hell she was doing. And so there are people out there that have schools, that have things that are going on, and they don't have the foundational base. They may be on social media, they may have their sob stories or experiences. They may show how, oh, I was able to do this and I opened this and I've been doing that and I have all this stuff going on, and they're orchestrating and puppeteering and they're abusing and they're doing things so they can so-called climb the Jacob's ladder, however it may be. And they're doing all this shit, and then you wonder why they're getting psychically attacked. Because of their own demise. And so the reality is, I left that place and I remember being in my car and the lines crossed. She was trying to get a hold of somebody else in a telekinesis way, and the frequency line, I heard her voice, and she was trying to talk to the guy that I knew wasn't him, because I stay away from that shit. I knew it wasn't him, tricksters. She turns around, the lines get crossed, and I'm like, no. And I shut it down right away. And so this person isn't of ethics. She's all about business. And she knows she's responsible for people dying by suicide, amongst other things, because of her trickery and torment and torture because of her sorcery. There are good people out there and there are not so good people. Don't get me wrong. There are people maybe very close to her and see the beauty that she is, and there's certain things, but she's hiding it under the carpet, and she has a title. And so there are those that will be led into believing certain things about this person because they'll see the prestige. They'll see, I know what it's like to lose it all. I know what it's like to have prestige. I know what it's like to build a foundational base in a different way. But I also know this same person didn't even know the word die by suicide back in 2019. I kept things very private about professional stuff and the things that I did, because at that time, that stage in my life, I was even told enlightenment, because I was going through stuff and I realized that there was just no way that I was being protected, in other words. It's pretty bad when you go through a mediumship course and a girl turns to you and says, your uncle says it's all bullshit. And I knew something wasn't right, because I'm like, I can channel all the time. Why am I being blocked? And then all of a sudden she's trying to puppeteer everybody in the group, and then Spirit gets through. And then I'm able to tell somebody, well, this is your grandfather come through and he's fretting about the weather. After that, I walked out of that place and I didn't go back. And then I realized, like I was saying earlier, the gameplay and the trickery with this guy that's a warlock that ends up obviously not happy in his relationship, meets me, and this bullshit he gets entangled in, and he happens to not mind it. So he'd rather have a relationship with what seems like ghosts, and instead of his wife or ex-wife or me. And at the time I'm like, what the hell? I don't want nothing to do with this shit. Somebody that lies about all this stuff. And now he's dying of cancer. I've mentioned this before, but the point being is the trickery at play. They don't give a shit about him. They're basically using him to get to me, to find out all the stuff about me as a sovereign being. But I'm not going to underestimate my ancestral family. I'm not going to underestimate the powers that be and my guides that know I'm an ethical, honest, kind, compassionate person. And I entrusted somebody when I was vulnerable with a lot of personal stuff, even to a point where I'd share videos and I said, before I share this on the post, take a look at it. And then I never end up sharing them. And what it was, as I reflect back, he's a coach and he used my material and pretending to be spiritual himself. He was Jehovah. And then he pretends to be a Christian Buddhist. and then using my information for his coaching techniques. But don't get me wrong, this woman that teaches stole stuff from him. It's like all the material that's out there. You have to be careful. There's portals and books and this and that. You can open up a book and you can find out certain things. You have to knock on them and do all this stupid, crazy shit. Whatever happened to just picking up a book and enjoying a book and reading it and falling in love with the book? When you start to come into clear knowing of certain things, it can be ludicrous. It could be crazy. Some people say it's an illusion. It's your reality. And it's like, I just want to live a normal life. And then I'm told, when I did the one video, the live Facebook, obviously someone's meant to see it and I can just erase it or download it, whatever. But then all of a sudden I'm told, oh, there was a spirit that came in, wanted to know this information because there's a witch, a warlock, a sorcerer, whatever, a medium, whatever, a healer, whatever it may be, that wanted to know what I was divulging. And then all of a sudden they're like, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this stuff anymore. Because they're trickstered into somebody who's puppeteering them. So it's like, when I don't watch TV, I don't watch movies anymore, but I have. And when I look at the 9 days my sister referred it to me and I watched it, and then I was watching it with the stalker. And then I'm like, for some reason, I'm not supposed to watch this with you. And so I found out he went to watch it with his so-called wife, which I didn't know certain things about them until I met her and found out all this crazy shit. And her and I compared, and I'm like, getting the hell away from him forever. And so, pardon me, I know that's not of love and kindness, but it's just, I'm being strong about how I feel about these certain events that have occurred in my life, and for good reason. And so guidance would tell me certain things, and I really didn't pay attention. So I had to awaken to the awakening of awakening to awakening to awakening to awakening in ways it's hard to describe. So when you're being watched in a way, and I'm not talking about paranoid, delusional, people literally are being watched. There's satellite systems out there that have technology that are able to watch us in ways that is unbelievable. And I'll give you an example. 1945, the war ended. They spread scientists all over the world. The most famous scientists are in New Zealand. And so there's generation after generation of generation. They make the best food in all of the world. But they make the best of other things as well. Some good things, some not so good things. And so you wonder why when people go there that you may feel like an outsider, because they have secrets they have to shove underneath the carpet to say, amongst other things. But that you can get anywhere all over the world. And so here we are, for example, myself in Canada, here I am, and this crap is real. We're talking World War II stuff where things were created. I remember sitting down with a pilot, Air Force pilot, United States, and we talked. And he shared with me what he was talking about, the extraterrestrials and the, you'll notice planes are flying lower than they usually are, than they used to. And they say it was because the president, this was back in 2018, if you look it up, there was space where they said, okay, all the airplanes have to flow at a lower place because of the extraterrestrials having a higher place to fly their ships. I know that sounds insane, but either way, look it up. It should be there on AI somewhere. And so I remember this transitional period because I remember I got videos of ships like covering the road. Like I have, and some of it, don't get me wrong, somebody stole on social media. I had a big mothership. It was a big white round mothership, and the picture was stolen. And people will do that on social media. They'll steal your picture. You'll post it, and then all of a sudden it disappears. At the time, I didn't put my love through the lens because I didn't know, right? It was vulnerable. The person, that shitty person from England, took advantage of me. I know who it is, and karma and merit will collect. This person is doing evil things on this planet. And so either way, here we are. We got technology changing things. We've got creation where things were involved. And when I met this guy, he had told me also the technology was already invented and it had to slowly be released. And I'm exactly right. I said, remember when the central processing unit used to in college and universities used to be so big, they take up a building. It's like they went through the process of how to slowly integrate it to create it so we can have these devices that we're holding in our hands right now. This took a long, long, long time to come out. And so the same thing with technology, the same thing with war weapons and things of the sort. They do exist. And so you've got people doing telepathic spiritual warfare. There's people that know things and they don't want the public to know because they say it's fear-mongering. Well, you got these people that basically they're dealing with the devil. They have no problem because of their fame and their fortune, and they want to be seen differently. And they figure, oh, if I do this, this, and this, then maybe finally I can do this. And they want to escape their own demise. They want to see as fame and fortune. Well, this one teacher, I remember back in 2019, when she channeled, everything was like B for Bob, A for Apple, like, and then you notice that she would, so back in, you could tell she kept checking in on me, but invading my sovereign space and my sovereign being by whether it was the crystals I bought from her, whether it was the items, because this can go for anything. This can go for an item you have. This can go for a crystal. This can go for anything. It's like they can merge with objects. And all of a sudden now they're invading your sovereign space, your sovereign being, and it's evil. And they know that. They know they're being evil. And so they'll get other people to do it too. I remember I was going to take this course. So for some reason I was led back, as I mentioned, and maybe it wasn't a good call. But at the same time, it was meant to be, because then I found out all the stuff and the trickery and the evilness that this person's doing, her, and others. And so here we are. I'm just like, whoa. And I don't want to access her records. I know enough shit from the classroom environment, and what she lets out is enough for me. As for the real private stuff that you come to a clear knowing, and you're not even asking to know it, you're like, spirit, no thank you. No thank you. It's kind of like the earthbound spirits wanting you to know something, and the human spirits, the entrapped spirits that want you to know something so you can be a catalyst for change and speak up and say no means no. But at the same time, you have to be careful of what you allow to imprint in your mind. And as I was saying on the other video, the lady that says she doesn't want to do this, they're bandits of time. So here I am doing a video to share with you, and I feel like this is a bandit of time. I don't want to be a bandit of anyone's time. Anyone's time is valuable. So that's why you get people doing really quick videos, imprinting you with what it is that they can imprint you with, so that you can have a faith and believe in something and have a wow, aha moment. But at the same time, it could either be for a greater good or not, right? And so there's times where you could hear something, go, holy shit, that's exactly, I get that. It's like having a visitation from a demon, and then you're like, it's not yours. And it's kind of like, and hearing somebody say that before, and then you wonder, did they manifest that for you so you could have that experience? Because the way they had it, and then I'm like, I am love, I am love, I am love. And it's not even me saying I am love. Like, we're talking a greatest source, like an angelical presence, like Jesus Christ, that comes in and says, oh, no, you don't. She is love, she is love, she is love. But instead, I'm like, I am love, I am love, I am love. So he rises up in many of us. I don't have to be a Christian to even believe in that. I'm a mystic Buddhist. And so I'm not trying to dodge a bullet by saying, whatever faith you believe in, whatever you believe in is your experience, your truth. And that's okay with me. Whatever you want to be, whether you want to be Jehovah's Witness, whether you want to be a Christian, Catholic, whatever, whether you want to be Jewish and follow the faiths of all that is, or maybe you have to, like Thich Nhat Hanh talks about, Thai talks about, living Buddha, living Christ, and going back to your roots and what your faith is and what you were raised in. There's a reason why your family, you chose them. There's a reason why you follow that faith, and whatever it may be. Or maybe you make a totally different choice, like my aunt did. I mean, she didn't know what she was getting into. If you were to reflect back, and she went from, being one faith and then became Catholic, and she had these abilities. She didn't know that, holy shit, back in those days, if the man had the affair and you went through a divorce, and the wife was considered mentally unstable because maybe she was very gifted, which she was, and then all of a sudden she had her children taken from her and everything, and she turned around and survived horrible circumstances, knowing what she knew, and escaped by ways of medication. But she chose that. At the same time, that's horrible because her ex-husband had an affair and got away with shit, and then raised the kids, and then was abusive. Like, we're talking badly abusive. Made my cousin eat cigarettes because he caught him smoking cigarettes. Did horrible, horrible things, that man. He was evil. And so, and you wonder why people turn out the way they do. Don't get me wrong, everybody's accountable and responsible, especially as adults, and taking responsibility for their actions and what they do. And so I know that it was a gift to all of us, my mom especially, to run from certain things and go, no. And she had to deal with spirit in ways that I have to look and go, wow, Mom, wow. Even right down to when she had cancer, and the people she surrounded herself with Louie and Graham. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know, Louie, you've crossed over on the other side. Blessings to you, because you brought me an earthly experience in a different way as a visitation, and I'm appreciative of you, and thank you, thank you, thank you. I know you miss and love Graham in a different way, but you've crossed over, so it's very different for you. But you're still part of creation and helping and create and even speaking as I speak. And so thank you for being there for my mom, and my mom, doing this beautiful indigenous dance, and my mom listening to audios instead of watching TV and doing different things, which seems like that's how I am. I listen to I love my CD player in my car. I'm like, what would I do if I got a new car without a CD player? Like, it costs you more money to get one installed, right? And so it's just one of those things where certain things are valuable to you. And so as we move on and we grow and we find out more, and we find out how strong our family is, especially our mothers, our grandmothers, and different sorts, it's like picking up a picture and knowing that this Wardlock, this evil person that's dying from cancer, invaded my sovereign space and picked up the picture, and energy speaks, and it's like the glasses on my head, and supposedly he was holding the picture, and I don't know why I allowed to trust him in my home, and he was staring at the picture of my mom and my grandmother, and he's trying to decide who is going to connect with, and he thought, oh, well, she's Jehovah's Witness, I'll connect with her and cut her off from connection with me. And I have to look at, like, my grandmother is smarter than that. And so, lo and behold, she's looking after me in ways. So when you guys are doing this crazy trickery shit to people, invading their sovereign space, invading their homes, stealing their stuff, and doing what you do, it will come back worse than triplefold, sevenfold. It is true. It will affect you. And so don't get me wrong, as my face is like a butterfly rash, this is not mine. This will go away. I know it will. This is evil. This is curses. This is hacks. This is them trying to get me to avoid doing videos because I have no makeup on, trying to have me look at myself like I'm ugly and I'm not, trying to do things like, as I feel like a sore throat going on right now, and I know it's not my sore throat to bear. It's a psychic attack. And so that is evil. This is evil and trickery and what they're doing to human beings. And it could very well be happening to you. You might be going to the doctor and finding out there's no evidence based on, physically painful. For example, the DSM has in there, if you're feeling sexually violated, that's your problem. That's you. That's a mental problem. That's not the case at all. Energy, they've done things where beings have invaded our sovereign space. Like, look at those people that can, and I've mentioned another video, that are freaking masturbating, and then they're watching a video or something, and they're able to transcend themselves through a man just so they can prevent to have sex with the woman. Can you imagine her sovereign space and her sovereign being and her soul going, what the hell? Like, who am I really having sex with? And why is this happening all the time? Where I'm feeling, you wonder where their self-worth and their I've never been I don't know, I don't want to, a prostitute, or I've never been, at least in this lifetime, I've never been that person that's sold myself for sex for people to watch on a video. But there are people who can do that. And then they feel like they have the best orgasm ever because they're imagining themselves with that person. And then you imagine how that person feels sexually violated. It's evil. That's demonic. That is evil. Because you're affecting that person's sovereign space. You're affecting that person's sovereign being. It doesn't matter who they are. So let's say you're watching somebody on a plane and you're watching all the people come in and you see this real hot woman or this real hot guy, and then you got this photographic memory and you're picturing them. And the next thing you know, you're in your private space and you're having some kind of sex with them. Now, there are those that are very innocent, don't get me wrong, of something or whatever the case may be in their life experience, where they're not in a knowing of what is, but there are those that do. And this is evil. This is demonic, evil, worse than Mara stuff. And so if you're feeling sexually violated, if you're feeling like somebody is trying to transcend through you, we have to protect ourselves. Don't get me wrong. Imagine yourself in a beautiful protective bubble. If you have to, there's teachers out there that are teaching clean, cleanse, clear all energy and emotions that aren't mine. You know, calling your team, calling, your ancestors, say that loves me the most, that knows me in this lifetime, that would protect me at all costs, knowing this evil goes on. May you please come in and help me now. And that just comes out automatically, by the way. I just channeled that. So that's for you all, whoever may be listening, okay? And so, and I got pure shivers on that one, okay? So if you have to, call on that now. And so that they can do what it is they can do, whether it's from whatever dimension. Some teachers only teach you to the 9th dimension, but it goes much higher. Okay, there's those teachers that are willing to take the risk and talk about the 12th dimension, the seraphims that can come in and shower in and clean, cleanse, and clear you as well. Just like a vacuum, it may feel different for each and every person. And so that is energy, emotions that are yours. And so, for example, there's people that are tricksters that will attach. They will do all this horrible, horrible, horrible things. They do it, but then they'll also teach, and they'll say to themselves every day, no attachment, no this, no that, but yet they do it to other people. And so it's a double-edged sword. And so you have to be careful. And then you ask for, to embrace you with love and to basically once they, it's like psychic surgery. So they're doing their stuff. And then you ask for the guides to come in and invoke you with some beautiful stuff, with love, with kindness, with healing. It's like calling in whatever guides. And it could be anything. You may be guided as like the Green Man. I remember I was in a park and I saw something. It was so beautiful because I was just so taken back by when at the time I used to live in a place and somebody mowed over all these plants, and this one plant, I could go up and feel it and I'd touch it and be like, oh, like the connection to Gaia, Mother Earth, and just like the whole planet. And you can just, and so sometimes you can touch a plant like that and feel so divinely connected. It's like somebody putting their feet in the water in the ocean, and it does something healing for you. And so I remember that somebody came along and mowed it right down, and I was just, oh. So I went to this park and I seen that same plant, and I wasn't sure what kind of plant it was. And I was so elated. And so it was like it ignited a light in me I can't even describe. It was just like I went to a different paradigm, and I was like, oh, wow, this beautiful plant. And then I took a picture, and then in the picture, it was like the Green Man. And I didn't know what it was at the time. This happened years and years ago. And it was just like, then I found myself in a place, and I was helping a little boy who was seeing extraterrestrials at the time. And so it was just one of those things, because somebody behind the counter, I happened to be there. And then she said, go talk to Tina, because she knows about that stuff and maybe she can help you. And I did. I helped this little boy and his mom and did the different things. And so what happened was I end up opening a book, and it was a gift to me. And it was like, oh, wow, it was the Green Man. It was the Green Man. So blessed be, may the Green Man protect me in special ways. And And you know that this is the odd thing. Most people are like, what? The green man? What are you talking about? You'd be surprised in spirit enlightened beings in ways that are beautiful. And this is not for the green man to heal anyone else, okay? My vessel is not to be used to heal someone else in that manner. There are people that walk in, there are people that attach, there are people that will latch, there are people that will do things trying to rob you, thinking that you're going to just heal them. That's false. They heal themselves. No matter what anyone does, even Jesus Christ, when he touched, they were healing themselves. And he had to be a willing participant. If he wasn't a willing participant, guess what? He got hung for that. And you know what? Because he was noble. He had respect for himself. He had respect for himself. And so one of these teachers, I know that she was a king who crucified Jesus Christ in a life. And so the point being is, how do you live with that? How do you live with that? I don't even want to know that shit. I don't want to know that stuff. Yeah, King Solomon. I don't want to know that stuff. And so what can I say? I received teaching in classroom environment, online, through reading, and different things of the sort. But trust me when I say there's puppeteers out there doing shady things. So just keep persevering. Keep going. Be of love and kindness. Do the best you can. Even though if you know odd things are going on, you're going to one place and you're hearing them call in that teacher and the trickery and the bullshit, and you see them pacing and you can see they're on a frequency line and they're being controlled and puppeteered, and you're like, holy shit. I'm like, and then you say something seemingly to them to let them know, hey, listen, and you stand in your sovereign space. Trust me, there is trickery that goes on in certain places. And then you go to another place, the same store, and you have totally different people that are love, that are compassion, that radiate their love and kindness. And maybe it's because they're not in the spiritual realm of things. And they're not knowing they have that freedom to just be love and light. Trust me, my face was not like this when I did the Facebook video, and then all of a sudden it started to transcend out. So just know that there is evil that will do trickery. I'm sure she has a grid just for me to curse and to hex and to do evil stuff, but it's not just me. People are coming in and knowing. Like, people are talking. People are even saying, I can't even say their names. If I say their names, oh my God, it brings me evil stuff, sort of thing. Then you wonder, it's like, you know, when these people, there's some good witches out there, don't get me wrong, really good witches that are there, and spirit speaks with them and they're there to help people. And then what do? They make them look really bad. They make them look really bad because of a collective that gets together, like a bunch of reverends or a bunch of priests or a bunch of nuns or whatever the case may be. And, you know, they get them together, you know, all walks of life, if you know what I mean. And then they start to puppeteer, and they're watching, and this person, you know, gets in trouble with the police because of someone else that's fed a bunch of bullshit. Now, don't get me wrong, this place, like I said, I was in a classroom environment, and they said our business is going to close down if we don't find the funds. This is back in 2019, and people got sucked in. Thankfully, I financially could afford it at the time. And there are people that are doing it. They're spending every penny they can just to go to a course that costs them oodles of money for her to what? Imprint and program us. Some things are good, some things is bullshit. But she's not even in control of herself, really. She's just a pure conduit. It's almost like somebody took over her vessel. And that's the excuse she's probably going to use, especially when she abuses. And she has done that in environment. I know for a fact when I was in Sedona, she did in front of a whole classroom setting blame me for her psychic attack in so many words. And I had nothing to do with psychically attacking her in any manner. Nothing. If anything, she's the one that did it to me and others in Sedona. believing in something that was not true. But she'll have to own that, and she will see in the life review, and she will see that she'll have to come back and do it all over again. But she'll be doing it differently. I'll make sure of that, because I'm not coming back. I'm not suicidal. I'm in a good state of mind. And I realized that the stalker was imprinting me in ways that was affecting my mood, affecting my well-being, thinking that he can, supposedly get me out of the dark night of the soul. He was in the dark night of the soul. He brought me in to the dark night of the soul with his trickeries, his lies, his deceit, his game playing. I was of light. I was of love. I was in a place, when I look back before I met him, I had my niece over my lap, and I was, I had her laying there with a bowl, and I was playing, and I was like, okay, I got to rent a place to start doing my business, and I was doing all this beautiful stuff, and he came in my life, and it was really unusual. I remember he was outside one day in my place, and he begged to come inside, and I said no. I was setting healthy boundaries. And I didn't even know at the time he was married, that he was lying about his name, his profession. Crazy shit. And to think how LinkedIn and how they're connected, how he was puppeteered by a puppeteer that really, to give him a rat's ass about him. I heard the voice of another puppeteer that was also talking with him, because I remember him looking at me, and I had just bought something beautiful from the monastery, a bench, and he put me in turmoil. And I was happy because I remember this guy across the way, Ray, and I was happy, and I'm like, let's get it done. Thank you. I'm buying this bench. It's going to be at the monastery. I didn't like where it was placed, but at the same time, I may have been picking up seemingly more than what meets the eye. And so I remember, going to telling the monk, I was full of joy, I was full of light. I was like, I was manifesting this for 2 years. I wanted to get this bench, and I was grateful to donate it. It was a bench, and it had this beautiful, beautiful tree on it. It's magnificent. And my intentions were pure. And then I remember being in the car, and he was obviously channeled on, and he was talking to someone. And Lord Sanata, Master Jesus, Lord Buddha, like all of those, obviously wanted me to hear. And it was up to me to explain what was going on. So he was using me for someone to transcend through. It was like he's trying to sell my soul, trying to sell me, like unethically, like a demon. So he was having his own little affair, like he was being trickstered and puppeteered. And so he's in the car, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm feeling this pain, like, oh. And then all of a sudden I heard her talking, and she was saying something to him about the bench, and I wanted that, it was stupid shit. And then he's listening to her while he's driving, and I'm telling him I'm feeling this pain, I'm feeling something. So she was coming in trying to transcend through me. And I was fully in the knowing. So he was trying to talk to her seminally, telepathically, but I'm in the car with him, and I'm telling him this, and he turns to me and says, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, he's not aware of his environment. He's driving, and he's having a talk with somebody else in his head, somebody that was obviously spying and astral projecting, astral traveling, however it may be, seeing things. And he's having this thing with this person who really doesn't give a shit about him. Humans that can do this. Trickery, witchcraft, warlock stuff, sorcery, voodoo. Some of these people have relationships because, let's say they're in bed and they can't move. They have ALS. They have, you never know, they can be behind prison doors, cells, pardon me. You never know who you're talking to. So he's in the car. He has no idea. He loves this voice. He loves this person, supposedly. He doesn't know who the hell he's talking to, really. He doesn't know. And so these people can have people doing things that are out of the ordinary, like messed up stuff. Pretending, for example, to even be the teacher that's been shitty, that has done ill regard, ill intent to others. She can get people to puppeteer. She puppeteers the puppeteers so that the puppeteers can puppeteer people's lives so they all don't have to take responsibility as a collective. It's like a gang affiliation where you looked at that. It's different when it's boots on the ground and people are doing this shit and then they all gang up on somebody and kill them. And then at least they have tangible evidence and the police go, okay, all of you were there. You all take responsibility for this murder. But meanwhile, there's one main puppeteer that started it all, edged it on, stirred up things. And then those that were a part of all that stood back and go, what the hell did we do? We were all what? We were all in pilot mode. We were all brainwashed. And so this is what happens in some of these classroom environments. They imprint what they want you to know. They'll use trickery and twist things so your thought forms go a certain way. But at the same time, these people, they're not even equipped to deal with crisis situations. So now they want to attract the doctors, they want to attract the nurses and all the knowledge base of what they have so that they can project and they could learn from them in the universe and the cosmos, however it is, learn from them, have the telecommunication with them, and then that person's given their power away by the knowledge base of everything that they've learned in school. And some of these people will transcend through them. But then what they don't know is when they hijack someone and they walk in, they're giving their power away. They're giving their power away. That person now has a clear knowing of that person and doing what they have done. And so evil is. And so there are those of light that radiate their light. And I've heard this many times, just radiate your light, just radiate your light. Well, just being in a way of love and kindness is radiating your light. Now, we're not supposed to say anything bad about anyone or anything in order to, catapult and just say, oh, this is a part of all the experience of what is. Well, may I and may you receive be very selective on who you invite in your home. And as long as it's love and who you associate with and even the courses you take. Be very, very careful because they're playing trickery with me. I was supposed to be taking this course and I've missed 3 classes already and there's been trickery played on me. I know that. There are people that have dementia and Alzheimer's. Some of them are wrongly diagnosed. And some people have no problem putting their family in a personal care facility. And some have a big problem with it. And so just know that she can be beautiful, she can be kind, and she can be genuine, and she can be sweet. But the sorcery, trickery, bullshit she does, it's evil. And she has the spirit and everything doing it for her. I've had classes where it's kind of like, well, hurry up, let's go before all the spirit gets sent into the light. Or throws them up like cannonballs into the light because you know why? They're lighter than she is. They're not cannonballs. They're of light. They know the shit that she's doing and she doesn't want anyone else to know it. She doesn't want the spirit that recently passed going around for visitation and telling family truth because that would tear down her business. All so that they can make a profit, pay for their mortgage, pay for the kids' education. So they can be on the status of the millionaire club and more and things of the sort. It's so sad. And then they control and manipulate lawyers, real estate agents, prime minister, presidents. To do things behind the scenes in a coliseum sort of way. Behind the scenes. Effing with people's ascension and effing with their lives. So beyond unethical. And why? Because they don't have the education. Their education is what? Sorcery? And then they think, oh, but I've lived all these different lives, and there's a scientist in me, there's a doctor in me, there's this, there's that. No, you're a being in the now, 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 now. And don't get me wrong, there's soulful family, there is your DNA family, there are things. And so I call on a guide now, and just to say what is, we have to be of love, we have to be of kindness, but at the same time we stand as sovereign beings and say enough is enough in your trickery and your gameplay. And there are people that make people feel like they're nuts. It's like an elder, an indigenous man told me, they'll do that. They'll play with you. They'll play trickery with you. And I see it with my son right now. They're playing trickery with him. And what am I to do? Buddhism teaches me detachment. But then Buddhism also teaches me, be the example, be love, no matter what, be love. Show them the love that they have within them. Show them. This teacher, she can be a spark of light, don't get me wrong. But when she's dishing her clients for finding out who she is, and then uses that as ammunition in each class, and is the victim and says, I'm being these different faiths and these different things that are trying to, psychic attack me and my business and different things, she gets people to join her bandwagon. And then these people, because of their own demise and their own pain and their own suffering, they end up getting lost in the shuffle. They get lost in the wormhole. They get lost in the vortex, not of love, a different kind of vortex. They get lost in things where they end up being captive in their home like birds in a cage. And for what? For her to catapult and to advance and to be famous? I don't have a jealous bone in my body, but what I do have as a sovereign being, the rights to say no means no. And when these people, there's some really good ones, don't get me wrong, there's some beautiful people that own businesses that are offering beautiful services, and they do not want to transmit their stuff in a way of attachment. They're there just to earn a living. That's one thing. But when you have some people that, to me, have unresolved issues because of the pain, because of the suffering, because of their experience, and never mind, like I remember one time just looking at a book and going, oh, I learned all this in a class, pretty cool. That girl got psychically attacked so bad it was not me, it had nothing to do with me, but I have a clear knowing that it affected her a great deal. She took notes, obviously, in a class. I don't even know if she took that class. But she created a book about spirituality. And it was a pretty good book. When I read it, though, I said, this reminds me of, I didn't say she got it from. And so I know I was not any part of that. But then Spirit let me know that she was tortured and tormented because of that, because of the success of writing a book. This person is successful in a way of doing up all these different courses. She stole ideas from people. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact because she wants to be connected to all the famous people, the writers, and they're finding out the truth. And so, and getting people involved in doing trickery stuff where they're not of love and kindness at times, and to downwind on people, innocent people like me. And then they find out the truth. And so they go through their shame and their demise and this and that, and processing what is. At the same time, they're like, I can't tell a psychologist this. They'll think I'm nuts and lock me up, kind of attitude. And it's true, the way the medical system is right now, and people following the DSM, it's part of controlling society. Now, don't get me wrong, knowing what it's like to see people that are not well around you, it's, and I've seen it from all different angles. and seeing how some people can be subdued. Maybe somebody bewitches someone and has them put into, they're complaining, and the police show up and they get upset and they're not them and themselves, and then they get into a mental facility and then they seem good, and then all of a sudden you see the transition when they take their they give them medication, and then they're like discombatant and they're just like not the same at all on the medication, like effed up. And you see that transition, you're like, oh my gosh, these are the people that don't need to be on medication, because it's like their soul is fighting and saying no means no to the SSRs. Now, I'm not telling you get off your SSRs by any means. Talk to a professional, a doctor you can trust. There's more doctors awakening to the awakening. Talk to a doctor you can trust. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some people that aren't on anything, but they may be on illicit drugs and alcohol and doing crazy shit. And you see it and you're like, whoa. Or you can see people, like I've seen people, they're doing this, like these coded words, like, how in Hawaii you do this. And I see somebody that'll, you'll have a conversation with them and then they'll do this. And it's just like, it's a statement. It's kind of showing you that they're telepathic, or that they're on a frequency line and they're conduits and they're able to hear things, and they're using discernment, and they're just letting you know, hey, it's okay. Like, I know you're a good person. You're not an evil beep, beep, beep that's trying to take advantage of other human beings. And so maybe it's because I've been through such trials and tribulations, and never mind, I'm always willing to face whatever demise or whatever it is. It's like, with ease and grace, let's do it, please. You know what? And having the freedom to do so. And it's just like, it's like my mom and the power she had before she even died. And I think that, I was sitting in the car and I didn't know at the time. I was sitting in the car listening to music, and all of a sudden a pool of blood is in my mouth. It's not physically in my mouth, but I feel it and I know it and I sense it and I smell it. And I'm just like, oh, wow, Mom. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I realized this ward lock a few days later, on May 13th of the year before, and how he experienced that, and it was pooling out of his mouth. And so having that premonition, I had it mixed up of who it was, but maybe it was my mom showing me her experience before she died, and she projected all over the hallway before she died from lung cancer. And so at the same time, there's just certain things that go on, and most premonitioners are the ones that are trying to control society. They're trying to change the faith and trying to change people's ascensions, trying to change things. Those are the ones that are like puppeteering those that go into school and shoot other students. It's horrible. And we're talking about evil people that are okay being a part of that. And it's just like, it hit too close to home for me with my nephew. And knowing that somebody puppeteered Jess, and knowing, because Spirit visited me that night, and these two friends from the monastery, 7 hours they're in my house, and they can feel the cold, and I said, that's Spirit, and they were visiting me and them, but they didn't know what I knew. Most people say when Spirit comes in, you feel hot and you feel like flashes and this and that. For me, it's cold. Like if it's a spirit that just passed or has passed and is earthbound and hasn't crossed over yet, I get cold. Now, if a spirit has crossed over and they're your guide and you're bang on about something, you'll get shivers. So be careful what you're taught. Everything is different. Please use discernment. You may feel it different than I do, and that's okay. That's your journey. That's your destiny. That's your plan. That's you. Don't worry about the glam and glitter that's going on all around you. You don't have to be like anyone else. I encourage you not to be like anyone else. Be you. Be kind. Be genuine. Be honest with yourself. Stop putting other people on a pedestal. Because by doing that, it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. When you're putting, or even if you're defending other people and you don't know the full truth, it's like you're joining the bandwagon of that other person, not knowing the full truth. So it's being neutral. It's like an angelical thing. Be neutral in every situation, because you never know, especially if it's something bad that you come into the knowing of. This girl, Jess, they said, oh, she's a tired. They picked at things that they didn't, they weren't in her head. They weren't in her vessel, as in those that did the investigations later, okay? And so the collective data that they got, and I haven't even read it, because if I did, I just know for a fact she spoke of her shadow, but she also spoke of not going to school, telling her mother they would not understand because of her abilities, her gift. And so when she died, before she died, she was in pilot mode. When she came to, let's just say, and it's not a fair comparison, but I'm going to compare it anyway, just to give those an understanding. You have somebody that's really sick, dementia, for example. They don't have a clear understanding or remembrance of certain things. And then all of a sudden, before they die, they have such clarity. It's like my aunt before she died. She had this clarity. And she called me up and she thanked me so much for everything I ever did for her. And then she died. I had this knowing she was going to die. And she had an accidental overdose. I think she overdosed. I'm pretty sure, a clear knowing. And so a lot of people are very gifted and have abilities, end up dying by suicide, unfortunately. And then you get those that join the demonic side and they don't. And they just accept their own demise and the evil things they do to others. And then they try to balance it out with the beautiful things, or they help teach other people things. And it's just icky. And so when it comes down to the bigger picture of things, right? This girl, Jess, doesn't need to be remembered that way. And what happened was she had this clear passage where she was able to say, what have I done? And then killed herself. And she showed me how. So there's always more than what meets the eye. If the police were to look at every parent, to the children that died and the children that did not, if they were to look at every parent of that school and truly investigate it, and the connection of what is. I'll give you an example, in all fairness, myself being a medium. Not that I need to label myself as that. Having clear knowing, having all my clairs, prediction, the witches, the warlocks, the sorcerers that put blocks and barriers every day in my life because of their jealousy, because they want to be in control, because they want to be seen, they want to be recognized, and maybe they're below the poverty line and they can't get ahead and they're just full of jealousy and evilness and they don't understand the bigger picture of things. And they're playing trickery. And let's just say, can you imagine? I'm just giving you an example. There is a medium in that community. And now she's fed a bunch of crap. Okay? And now she's putting blocks and barriers and this and that up. And Spirit showed me before this incident happened. And now people are putting blocks and barriers up for her and I to connect. Because maybe she wants her fame and fortune. I'm not about that. And so here we are in a situation where how many mediums are related to the children that were affected that day? Now, I know I never had anything to do with it. I heard chanting in the universe, cosmos, however you want to call it, matrix, to walk through that school when I looked at the picture and I said, no. I wasn't going to astral project. I wasn't going to astral travel. Visions and things came to me automatically. I didn't have to go out of my body experience. I did not have to do that in order to receive what it was, because it was the spirit, the ones that were of the fallen, the spirits that died, they came to me. One little girl, feistier than ever, when I saw her picture, automatically she came to me, and I was not going to entrap that spirit whatsoever. I'm like into the light. It was like she was a giant, and she crossed over in a way like a giant that, like, just, yeah, it was like they walk. It's like, and then they're walking. It's, some people would say it's rebirth. Some people would say reincarnation. Whatever you believe in. It's like Dolores Cannon did that. I have a clear knowing of that. And so, I'm not saying this little girl's an extraterrestrial by any means. I'm just saying that when she crossed over, she's got her work to do. Some had to cross over right away. Some are still earthbound, out of curiosity, probably being entrapped by human beings that are medium, psychics, whatever. Because I need to be in the light. I need to be seen as my famous and collecting all this data and this and that. And then you see on social media, people getting pissed off saying, I know these mediums know this stuff and they're not telling us. It comes at a cost in the knowing. It comes at a cost. Like, imagine myself calling a friend and she said, Tina, lay down, and just, because I was telling her about all the stuff that was coming to me from the spirits. And sure enough, I laid down, and that's when the Jess came in. And Jess showed me the vessel, like how the vessel was, and different things, and into the light. And I had to call on source, on guides, on things to help her immediately. Immediately, before she attached to me and wanted to live her life throughout me, which could cause me disease. So she needed to be in a safe place for the process, for the healing to happen for everyone involved. Because like I said, there's more than what meets the eye. I would never want or masquerade or puppeteer or have anyone, and I mean anyone, experience a murder-suicide. Never mind those that were murdered. I have pure compassion for all involved. Pure compassion. Especially when it almost hits close to home. It's my nephew's story to tell, but he had his experience and he had his warning. And how my family is affected by this. So when I say there are people teaching out there that just leave people without having crisis intervention in place, but are using people for their knowledge base, it's like somebody saying they're spiritual and they're not, but they're using all the spiritual teachings that that person that's spiritual has used, but they can't teach it because they haven't lived it. They haven't lived it. And so before their death, or, eventually judgment does come in. And we're talking bigger than God. And this isn't just my belief. Judgment day comes. So we all have to err in caution and realize there is experiences in life to teach us and for us to rise above it and to accept what is. And it hits you hard sometimes because these tricksters and these beings, these human beings, and what they'll do at what cost, so they can hide their secrets and snuff it under the carpet. I've seen priests where I'm sitting right in front of them going, They're not themselves. Oh my gosh, if they could see themselves on a camera right now, they are not themselves. And what they're saying and how they're blessing me, who's blessing me here? Who is really blessing me? And being played trickery with. So they themselves sometimes are not themselves. Some are really strong and they're like, oh no, you're not getting in and playing havoc with me. And then blaming it on other people, making it seem like that person's a trickster, that person's the one playing, and meanwhile they're the innocent being. I've had that happen before, where I'm the innocent bystander, or I'm the innocent person that's just going to church, and then somebody's automatically assuming something. And then never mind, then you got the warlock abusing telepathically the priest. It's like, it's insane. Or you got the puppeteer puppeteering the nun, and the nun is fearful and taking off and doesn't know the truth that I'm the innocent one. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, all those that they assume is in the grave are living amongst us. Maybe listen to them. Those of light, enlightened beings have crossed over already. Maybe listen to them. Because some of these humans, and their trickery in their gameplay because they want their fame and fortune, Lord love a duck if you say, oh, I'd like to help the monastery monks with this or that. Then all of a sudden it's like, what can we do to make her look bad and make her not seem like her herself? Let's just transcend through her and make her look like she's an evil shit. It doesn't work that way. These are evil human beings. They're caught up in their own demise. They haven't got the help maybe that they so deserve at this time. To stop, take a step back, observe and process what kind of shit. Maybe it's their ancestral filtering down on them, and they're waking up to the awakening and realizing, holy shit, this is not just my familial stuff. This is shit I have to sort out that's mine, to own as a collective, and everyone, everything that I've learned from that surround me. Maybe it's a lack of respect, and then realizing, well, one has to respect themselves before others can respect you. One has to realize you have to love yourself unconditionally and be kind to yourself before others can love you unconditionally and be kind to you as well. But not always necessarily that way. That's what we're taught, okay? But at the same time, if you have support and you have love, then you can reciprocate it. You can reciprocate it. So anytime I was in a classroom environment with these people, I was always of love and kindness. But then there were some bully mentalities of people. They were tested in their own demise, and you could see it, their own insecurity and how they'd stand there strong, and they would say certain things. And so that soon enough, they'll be puppeteered in ways, and I won't have anything to do with it, thank God. God edged me out in a beautiful way. I am so thankful. I am so thankful never to walk through those doors again. Knowing what people have told me, how they've walked in and walked out, and there's been a lot of people through those doors, and they're like, I'm never going back there. I don't want to know this shit and what this person is doing. If they're puppeteering, like, how many lives are they responsible that have died? Between those that are driving and they're being telepathically tortured, you can see they're not on a headset and they're talking to themselves. They're psychic, but at the same time, spirit comes in. I noticed the other day what a difference when I took something out of my car, and I realized I have to, when I get my car back, do something else to make sure that I'm not having drop-ins from spirit in my car. And that could be sage. Some say take your sage bundle and wrap it up in a red cloth. Some say take, I'm sorry, I can't even think of what it's called, a cedar, or take different things of medicine and put it in your car. Pines in a bag of some sort. I know we don't want to attract wasps and stuff, but at the same time, for protection. It's old wise elders and stuff that, utilize this stuff to keep themselves safe. At the same time, look at all that has happened in evolution and time. And this goes for everything and anything. And this is another thing that's hard for people to accept. Many that have lived many different lives have lived many different descents, have lived many different cultural experiences. I was told long time ago that it's like you cross over, and then part of creation is like, oh, do I want to be Indigenous? Do I want to be a Caucasian Catholic person? Do I want to be, what do I want to do for my creation this time to live a life experience and still have to I have to live my karmic debt, and how can I co-create these experiences so that I can learn from the last life I've lived and the experience. So some say it's that way. Some say there's a whole different worlds out there and you get to choose what world you want to cross over into. Some say it's just heaven. There's just different beliefs, different faiths, and that's okay. You are your creation. And so create. If you just want to paint, then you just paint. Sometimes you have to give up things early and just say to hell with it. And you just survive in that way. If you want to draw, draw. If you want to help people in a way of therapy, help people. But again, make sure you have some kind of foundational base. Either way. There's so many people that are doing things. I mean, you get people building a business and looking all great and stuff, but they don't have their doctorate. They don't have any specialties in mental health to make sure that people don't get screwed up. Maybe they're taking social work or part-time social work in the evening at the university. Who knows? Either way, some people, what they'll do is they'll hire other people that do have the professional background so they can come together as a collective and create change. And so I know I myself had that opportunity as well. And it may still come forward with my Love Through the Lens project, you know. But at the same time, as I share with you, just err in caution, use discernment. I have to go. I have lots and lots to do. Seems like there's never enough time in a day. And this seems like long compared to most people, but you know what? It's 116 minutes. And so, as I just said that way, it doesn't even sound like myself. It's 1 hour, 16 minutes. And so the reality is there are people out there that are evil, demonic. And I just have to continue being love and compassion and kindness. And that's what ignites my heart. I love people. And I know that there are those that try to tether in, and they really hurt me in my body. They did the same thing to Charlie Goldsmith. Horrible, 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 horrible things they did to him. Horrible things. And this is because people are in pain and suffering. And they're in desperation. And they'll do evil, evil stuff to try to control and manipulate people. Even to join, cults and stuff in the universe. I refuse to. I never made a contract to transcend for other people. I've never made a contract for people to come in and do certain things. I married myself, that was it. And even then, it's like, no thank you. I'm a soul being. I'm not going to do that stuff. I'm not going to sell my soul. I met a girl in California who said she sold her soul. And blessings to this girl, like when she died, and the pain I felt for her. Somehow we must have had some kind of contract. And so either way, may you be well, may you be happy. I just know by sharing like this, it certainly shifted my mood. But at the same time, I speak my truth, my authentic self, my honesty. If I even shared some of the other shit, like at Christmas time and this teacher coming in and invading my sovereign space of my son's home, no wonder he wants to move the fuck out. Excuse my language. And all because at the time his girlfriend's sister was talking about Harry Potter and a program that she was doing in the school with the kids that was very successful, that she could drop that program and probably sell it and make millions and billions of dollars. And so what did she do? She called in the creator of Harry Potter. And so they're both talking and I could hear them. And I'm like, get the hell out, in so many words. This is my family. This is their sovereign space. And I feel like they really fucked with their ascension, even right down to the girl and making sure that she met a guy who was spiritual. These people don't mess around. They're just missing mediums for a reason. But I'm more than a medium. I know that to be true. I'm love. And I am of kindness. And I have a right to be upset when I know clear knowing and things that are going on. And so I feel like they mess with my son, just like I had talked to a medicine man that I helped in Alberta. And there was intrusion. And I put up protective barriers. And I counted on the horses, and unfortunately he had people living above him that were sorcerers and warlocks and stuff. And so I tried to help this medicine man, and believe it or not, there was those that were in clear knowing, like Guy Lafleur. And he knows, because being reincarnated is one thing, but he knew. He knew. And so this man had help from him at one time when he played hockey. And the point being, though, is I remember driving home in a storm and I had to get the hell out of there because of those that were psychically attacking him. Crazy shit, I could tell you. And he lost his daughter to suicide because of this game playing bullshit. This girl I knew from a year ago, she lost her life because of the spiritual game playing bullshit. Mediums are the worst towards each other. They find out the truth of those of the demise. They'll do anything to crawl their way to the top. It's evil. Now, mediumship's not evil. There's some beautiful people doing mediumship. Beautiful people that are gifted in doing what they're doing. Some not so much. They're gifted. They have the abilities, but it's Atlantis time, and it's like they're misusing their gifts. And I'm not going to be the one to bear judgment. I'm just sharing with you what I know. And you got to be careful who you have as teacher. I think she's going to get out of teaching now because she knows people are finding out about her own demise. And what, she has her daughter step up and do this shit? I got a yes on that. She's been prepping her. Can you imagine? Your destiny is set out because your parents used to astral project, astral travel to your school to watch on you and mess with other kids and their being while they're there in school. We're talking about crazy fucking shit that people do. It's disgusting. You think you have freedom, and then all of a sudden people are like in pilot mode and they're not sure, well, how did this happen? That's why I think Christians decide they're not going to have anything to do with crystals, because of the people that play trickery with them. But I have to have faith and belief that my crystals are good. I cleanse them, I clear them. I love them. Remember your heart. Remember your heart. You are made of salt and water. You cleanse that crystal. I've been saying it for years. Know my heart. Or, pardon me, I would say, know my heart, feel my heart. Right? And then somebody in the universe said, like, mix it up a bit. And however they say it is okay with me. But it's like, know my heart, feel my heart. Know my touch, feel my touch. Know my voice, hear my voice. Know me. And then after I used to do that, somebody else would use that in the universe. Know my voice, hear my voice, know me. And then they'd lead somebody to their website to believe that they were a greater human being than I or others, because, you know, they're like, oh, they're going to work behind the scenes and they're trying to masquerade and decide what people are going to do and what not. These are mastermind manipulators. But I have to go. The phone is ringing. Much love. May you be well. May you be happy. May you stay safe. And that goes for me as well.